And we are back already. All of our drivers getting ready inside the grid. And it's going to be a very hot start in this 30-minute GHA jackpot session. I'm Carlos Porcela, and I'm here with Adrian Fernandez, prepared to watch the last round. Adrian, how are you doing?
There's that. What a lineup we have for this final round, 30-minute race. Remember, the drivers making one pit stop because of the limit of the fuel tank that we've imposed on them. And what a great lineup, as I said, we had for this race, led by Jesus Sicilia and Jonathan Alvarez on that front row. They both were the winners, the at least the official winners so far of the first two races, so they are going to dice it out for the third and final win. Then we have Victor Lobato and David Perez on the second row. Sergio Real with a great qualifying. He was even fourth at some point. He's down to fifth. He will be joined by Victor de la Fuente, Adrián Baeza, and Alberto Toribio. Another great final lap to put himself into fourth row. And then in the fifth row, completing the top 10, Nacho Limorti. Great performance from him again. And Jose Manuel Sicilia. So those are the 10 main contenders on the grid. We have a array of 45 drivers today, so who knows what is going to happen in the next in half an hour. We'll have a different winner, maybe a third one.
I don't know, but I sure am sure that everything is going to be brought to a fighting point for a lot of the drivers. We know that already. We've seen how they've treated each other, so I don't know if it's going to get rougher for the pack, but we know that if someone falls in front, it can mean a lot of trouble for the pack behind. So let's see what happens. It's going to be hell of a hot start here.
And they are putting themselves on the grid, on the dummy grid. They will have to make that short run through the Blanchimont corner, which is the fast left-hander that precedes the bus stop chicane, which was redesigned a few years ago. It was actually a bus stop style chicane when you get a left-right hand switch and then another right-left switch to get into the front straight. That was redesigned in 2007 to make it sharper and to eliminate that situation of being a double chicane. It is still very tricky. It is still a point of overtaking, especially on those final laps when you're trying to make a last plunge to make positions. But they're one of the many hot spots throughout the Spa-Francorchamps as the safety car pulls out.
There we go. We're already with the safety car moving in front of them. Jesus Sicilia following, and Jonathan Alvarez and Victor Lobato this time in third place is going to be able to take the inside and La Source as they start. Jesus Sicilia has been making the start very wide the last two times, so let's see how he does. And I hope that all of you are ready if you decided your numbers for the GHA jackpot, because here we go. We're going to see how it ends between the top four. The pace car gets out of the way. Jesus Sicilia starts to move strong as he goes out of the chicane.
Yeah.
And he's able to stay in front, almost 3 wide between the drivers behind, and it seems they are pacing themselves already 30 minutes in front of us. Jesus Sicilia staying in front. David Zavalla Martinez already with a little bit of trouble and a little bit of a contact. It seems that he's managing well to stay. What a group of cars.
Yeah, we gotta stay with the front pack, because there could be some sparks in there. We saw earlier that Jesus Sicilia had that incident on lap number 1, and there's a car in there that was losing positions.
Let's see how they get to the end of the Camel Straight. Victor Lobato taking a position for a second from Jonathan Alvarez, but he's able to defend himself. Again, Victor Lobato. And here we go.
And Sergio
the fight starts.
Sergio Real has already lost contact with the top 4 drivers, who's lost like half a second in one sector.
They really have to cooperate between each other, because they know they have to chase Jesus, and I don't know if they're going to be able to maintain themselves in the pace that the champion, actual past season champion, is in Jesus Cecilia. Going to be a hard task for these 3 drivers we are watching right now. Jonathan Alvarez with Maybe Motion Pictures, Victor Lobato with the Regency Beauty Pageant, and David Perez with Alca Products, the number 34, 14, and 19.
And we had a change of positions in the top 10. Adrián Baeza has overtaken Victor de la Fuente for 6th position. And then the other drivers are dicing it out. Here's Diego Badney, the police car number 11.
And it seems 6th for him. Diego Van de Augusto with the police car from the first responders. The number 11 is staying in front of that Patriot Capital Partners car. The police car from the first responder trying to put some order in this very crazy race. 30 minutes. And we have already gone through the first lap for some of the drivers, and we are approaching that chicane with contacts. Gerard Sardeni trying to take the shortcut 3 wide, and very rough, very meaningless right now in those moves. Right there, Gerard Sardeni side, the number 31 with Bikini USA.
And I think there's been some more incidents in the top 10 in front of them, because Adrián Baeza jumped to 5th. One driver who was within 5th and 8th place has disappeared from that zone. And yeah, there's incidents already happening in the chicane.
We can see how some of the drivers are already getting maybe too hot. David Perez is in a hot chase, and everything seems in order.
Excuse me, Victor de la Fuente has fallen down to 11 and Sergio Real to 12. So there might have had some incident between the two of them, but they've lost a few positions.
I don't know what could have happened there. The number 32, Sergio Real, and Victor de la Fuente, number 25, with trouble between them. Something happened there, probably. David Perez chasing Victor Lobato and Jonathan Alvarez. The 3 of them want to collaborate to be able to reach Jesus Cecilia if it's possible, but I think they are already comfortable knowing that they are in the top 4. Adrián Baeza is going to try to reach David Perez. We can see that Be Social car behind the number 16, that yellow car we just saw for a second there, chasing David Perez and trying to stick with this top 4 group that is going to win that bonus if they end top 4 in this grand session for the GHA jackpot. Let's see how it ends for them.
I should not be surprised, but I'm surprised at how easily, kind of easily, Jesus Cecilia beat them farewell to his competitors. He's just pulled out a 2.5 second lead in barely 2 laps. They are very struggling to make contact with him, so they might play this strategy again as trying to go longer than him and win him by the strategy of the field. But it looks like Cecilia right now might be in that race 1 mode where he was completely untouchable.
Yeah, it seems he's recovering, and he's trying to escape. He's doing so, and in a very good pace. The number 8 with Heart to Heart International, our sponsor for this exact event today and this week events. Thank you very much to Heart International, and lucky day as many of them in the competition, with Jesus Cecilia running in front. Let's see how it ends. David Perez staying 4th, chasing Victor Lobato, and right now with a chance to take the position, makes the overtake. Victor Lobato seemed to let him go by.
Yeah, he didn't put up too much of a fight. It looked like he was aware that he had lost the position, and and gave it up for the moment. It is a long race, and he's still in his coattails.
But it's interesting that we get to see those type of moves as well, because we've just seen very rough moves from some of the drivers behind. But when we get to see that example right there, where the driver gets to be flexible and lets the flow of the race continue, it's even better for him. He's going to get a chance to escape a bit better from Adrian Baeza, although Adrian is there and we can see him approaching and reaching, but I don't know how it's going to end. But the thing is that if you remain flexible in the race, you are going to have more chances for sure.
But a lot of drivers tend to have a hard time letting a driver go by and
exactly.
And come to grips with the fact that, well, you can lose a position. You don't have to overfight until you have a contact, because that's not going to play in your favor 8 out of 10 times. There's too much risk sometimes to be had, and sometimes you have to be, okay, I'm lost the position, I left the inside open, he's going by, I'm gonna get him by later on, because you have ground to recover unless your car has damage and you have a lesser pace.
Up to this point, I think they might be thinking, well, Jesus, maybe it's not the target anymore, and we have to deal with each other. So if they are working as a triangle, let's say, they're going to try to keep pushing those drafty moments like this one right here, right now, to improve the distance with the Jesus, and being able, and also that makes them available for the escape between themselves and Adrian Baeza. And here, interesting situation, Gerard Pizarro with the Legacy Films having to let a lot of drivers go by. It seems
he was not in the greatest spot to let drivers by, because you wherever you are put in there, you are in a bad situation. You can be outside because you then get into the inside of the chicane. If you get into the inside, you're covering the inside of the first turn. That it is a tricky spot to let the drivers go by. He maybe should have planned it a little bit better.
Jonathan Alvarez, the number 34 with Maybe Motion Pictures, being able to stay in front of David Perez with Orca Products, and Victor Lobato with Regency Beauty Pageant, and also Adrian Baeza, who is there now. Be social with Adrian Baeza.
You gotta admire how this track flows. It is absolutely amazing, and how it combines the greatest lines from the original racetrack, which was way longer than this, as we said earlier, and the purpose-built section from the 80s, which is all that twisty bit on the inside, which then again, it flows great. You have all those medium fast speed corners. The drivers are able to follow each other, and I think it reaches a great compromise between a great track design and a track that is good for racing, especially with these GT3 cars. And that's what makes Spa-Francorchamps very enjoyable to drive and to race.
And we sure are enjoying the show we have with our drivers today, and we are approaching the 20-minute barrier, and after that I think things are going to start to get gradually hotter.
There's one driver within the top 10 that has made his pit stop right now, Adrian Baeza, who is, I think, 5th or 6th, has stopped, so very early for that first pit stop with 20 minutes to go.
And as we have the first pit stops ongoing, where we're going to take a quick little break, and we are going to watch our drivers, the ones in front, for those sip and goes. Let's see how it goes. We're going to take a quick little break, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned, stay with us. we are back with all of our drivers going as fast as possible. You are watching GC Racing. I'm Carlos Porcel and I'm with Adrian Fernandez. Hello, Adrian. We are in the middle of a very interesting situation right now.
Absolutely, Carlos. We are in such a great situation race-wise because we have the drivers fighting for second, actually very close together. Sicilia hasn't pulled out as big of a lead as it seemed in the first place. He is now looking like he has the situation control and he's pacing himself very well. We have those three drivers, Jonathan Alvarez, David Perez and Victor Lobato, close together for a second, and then the others are a bit behind. That was a situation that developed from the start of the race. They are in another completely different battle for 5th place, and in that battle we've seen Adrian Baeza being the first to bite the bullet and go to the pits way earlier than anyone, because none of his contenders has gone to the pit lane the next time by, so he's pitting at least 2 laps earlier than his competitors.
And I don't know how that's going to play for him, because I think that he went inside too soon, because he had a little bit of draft to take advantage of, and I don't know if it was convenient for him to get out of the way. Maybe he was seeing the 3 drivers in front going for a fight or going too hot between each other, and he knew they were going to lose a little bit of time.
Yeah, maybe he's planning that as an attempt of a long-term undercut, where by pitting earlier, he might avoid that scuffles and those scuffles, not losing time with them and being ahead of them by the time they pit. But that compromised his race from the fuel standpoint. You have to be now very careful with how you make your consumptions with the tires, of course, because they have to last 20 minutes straight with this fuel that he has, and we've seen some drivers struggle with that on the last event especially, so that's going to be a fine balance to encounter.
We can see right now the drivers behind Jesus Sicilia with a 19th pace, and Jesus is driving in a 19th. So in the 18th. So I don't know if they're going to be able to change that, or if they stop sooner or later is going to change that. But it seems like the number 8 and Heart to Heart International are in a very good position right now to finish this GHA Grand Session, the GHA Jackpot Session for the first position. I don't know if it's, of course, that we can see that he's doing very well, but how is going to end between the drivers behind?
Yeah, and who knows? We saw at Silverstone that Sicilia had the race completely covered and then screwed up in pit stop. He had a speeding infraction getting into the pit lane and was penalized and lost the race. So that could, I don't think that will happen here. That will be absolutely horrible for him to happen 2 races in a row. But situations like that where something unexpected happened and you encounter a lapped car, or you get out and you lose your concentration for one bit and have a crash, that could very well happen. And is not expected from a driver of the caliber of Jesus Sicilia, but as I said, these are races and nothing is decided. Still, the checkered flag drops, all the topics you can have. But we have a fantastic race for second, Carlos, and I think that the pit stops are going to tell a lot about how it's going to be played.
And we are watching a very interesting battle right now, in which we just saw Juan Jose Sanchez, the number 4 with Future Nissan, taking the position from Nacho Limorti in the Camel Straight at the end of it, and the number 17 is going to have to chase, but with a bit of trouble behind, because Victor de la Fuente, number 25 with Ocean Landing, the 3rd driver in the competition, in the actual scoring of the competition, is chasing him right now.
I gotta say that Victor de la Fuente is having a great pace. He passed Marcos Calvo, he passed Javier Carre. He's right now on the coattails of Nacho Limorti, who's lost the position with Juan Jose Sanchez. And he lost all of that ground while apparently on an incident with Sergio Real. Real has been stuck outside of the top 10, but Victor de la Fuente is making his move forward.
Victor Lobato still chasing, and he's chasing inside the pit lane, going inside
Yeah,
the pit
and
lane.
everyone in the
David
top
Perez
10 has
from-
stopped. Everyone in the top 10 has stopped with the exception of Jonathan Alvarez. He's the only one who stays on the racetrack.
All of them. And exactly, Jonathan Alvarez, yeah, the only one that is going to keep going. That is going to maintain himself rolling. Let's see how it works for Jonathan Alvarez. The number 34 with Maven Motion Pictures is going to go ahead alone in the darkness of the information, because he is not going to know what's going to happen after his pit stop, after his sip and go, in which our drivers have to take a little bit of fuel and keep going. A fast stop is what they have to do, and Jonathan Alvarez still has to do that, still has homework to do. Let's see what happens.
This time Cecilia hasn't got ahead of any of them. He speeded at the same time as practically everyone. Jonathan now has the disadvantage of not having the slipstream of anyone, and he's going to be very careful through this lap. But he's going to have a shorter pit stop, and he probably will have a much calculated fuel situation for the final laps. He may be the one that is able to push further.
And I don't know what's happening with the pit stops or what happened there exactly, but I don't know if David Perez was able to stay in front of Victor Lobato.
That's Victor de la Fuente, and that's David Perez, who is ahead of Lobato, and I think we've lost Jonathan Alvarez. Where is
Adrian
Jonathan?
Baeza is able to stick himself between Victor Lobato and David Perez in the undercut.
Yeah, that's the undercut from Baeza. Remember that he pitted 9 minutes earlier than them. 8
Yep.
minutes earlier, sorry. I think that's for third, and then again, I think Jonathan Alvarez lost a ton on the pit stops.
Very strategic racing here. A lot of the drivers taking options to stop, and I don't know what's going to happen with Jonathan Alvarez. I'm sure he's stopping now.
Jonathan Alvarez was not stopping. He's stopping now. Sorry, I miscalculated that. Yeah, he's speeding right now. So let's see where he goes in front of all of them. But Cecilia is leading the race with a 5-second lead on David Perez.
No worries, buddy. I got you. David Perez still maintaining himself in front of Adrian Baez and Victor Lobato. They are on an interesting chase, and I don't know what's going to happen with Jonathan Alvarez. I don't know if Jonathan Alvarez is going out of the pit lane right now, but they are going to meet each other just now in there. I don't know. Jonathan was stopped, or is the car in front of there?
I'm not sure, but he may have lost a lot. There he is. There he is. He's exiting the pits right now. I think he's lost positions with all of them.
He's exiting behind them, and right now side to side with Jose Manuel Sicilia, leaving Jose Manuel the position. Jonathan Alvarez stuck in the middle of Juan Jose Sanchez and Jose Manuel Sicilia.
So Baeza with his pit stop has made it. Well,
For the
let's see if he
overtake.
makes it. Yep. Very well done. Very well done. He had to do it in that particular moment.
The number 34 with Maven Motion Pictures being able to maintain himself in front of Jose Manuel Sicilia, brother of Jesus Sicilia, with Alpauto Paints. And behind them is Juan Jose Sanchez, who is not a slow driver at all. And he's going to put them in a bit of a pickle, I think. And they go round that CBD Boss's car. It seems that it was a lap driver. And as we see all of our drivers already established after the sip and goes, we are going to make a quick little break, and we will be right back with the finish, with the end of the session. Stay tuned, stay with us, and I'll see you right away.
The best entertainment. The widest coverage. The fastest speeds. Only through Asian Network. Call now for huge standalone and bundle savings at
And we are back with David Perez in second position now. After that lap in which we saw Jonathan Alvarez having to reincorporate behind or stuck in a bit of a dangerous situation, especially approaching this Rouge section.
So to recapitulate on what has happened in the pit stops, Jonathan Alvarez, who was, remember, second in front of David Perez before the pit stops, has fallen down to fifth. Remember that he was the one that went a lap further, and it looks like he's lost some time. Not a lot, but he will have to catch up with this trio on which Adrian Baeza has put himself. Baeza was fighting for 6 before he made his pit stop. He went for the undercut very early, and that has paid dividends for him because he's currently 4th. He was 3rd at some point. I'm not sure if he can follow David Perez or Victor Lobato, if his strategy allows him to do that. But he's there in a good position and right now in the last spot for the jackpot. So that's also very, very important, and he's playing his chances on that.
And there we go with David Perez staying in front, and it was 2 very complicated rounds, very active in touching between cars, and it's not becoming like that in this 3rd round. I was predicting a bit more of a peaceful round, and that's the way it's going because they know they still have they know it's a longer one, of course, and they have to really manage not only the fuel but the security.
It is natural for a lot of things that for a race like this to strung out a little bit more than the sprint race, not only because of the management but because of the actual pit stops that tend to dissolve some groups from actually happening, different strategies, different ways to manage the pace throughout the event. It is usual that those clusters they're not as prominent, and the drivers can look at this as more as a regular race where you have to catch up with the others, plan the passes and plan your pace throughout the event. So we have still 6 minutes to go, and I think we still have a pretty dicey battle for second ahead of us.
Pushing the pace is Jonathan Alvarez, being able to stretch that gap a bit more between himself and the drivers chasing. Juan Jose Sanchez and Jose Manuel Sicilia not being able to go as fast as Jonathan Alvarez is going right now. The number 34 is being able to stay in the top 5, but not able to approach Adrian Baeza yet, although we can see him around those places in the track. I think he's going to be able actually to put Adrian in a bit of a pickle. The number 16 with Be Social is going to have to be careful with Jonathan Alvarez, as he's going to be able to throw him out of the top 4 and win the bonus for himself. So let's see what happens between those 2 drivers right now in the screen.
And then Victor Lobato again, and this is something that happens weekend after weekend, being at its strongest on the 3rd race, on the longer one, and he's actually pushing David Perez. I don't know if he will have the pace or the opportunity to jump himself into second, but then again, a strong performance for a driver that really likes this kind of races more than the shorter ones, or at least he performs in better on these particular events. And you were talking about Jonathan Alvarez. I do think he has the pace to cut up with to Adrian Baeza. Now later he will have to make the pass, and with 4 minutes to go and a jackpot spot in play, that won't be easy at all.
Not at all. Not easy at all. Very tough pace that they have to maintain as we get to the last 4 minutes of racing today in this last 30-minute session, which is getting to be a bit more peaceful. But how it's going to end between David Perez and Victor Lobato, how it's going to end between Victor Lobato, Adrian Baeza, and Jonathan Alvarez, already taking a position. Something happened there.
Baeza has gone to the pits for the 2nd time.
And that's not what you want. Maybe he went in too soon.
Yeah, that's probably it. I mean, we were talking about it. He entered the pits just after 10 minutes. He had 20 to go. He may have miscalculated what he needed to make the race on one pit stop. But, well, he's in the pits and second time, and that will cost him a lot of positions.
And I don't know if it was a mathematic problem there for Adrian Baeza or what happened exactly, but
Oh, he's 2 laps short. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say that that was not a mathematical mistake, because I don't think a driver of his caliber will miss the fuel calculations at Spa by 2 laps.
don't know, but something happened there. Something weird. Victor de la Fuente, number 25 with Ocean Landing, chasing Jose Manuel Sicilia. Alpauta Paints with Jose Manuel Sicilia, the number 5, and Ocean Landing in the number 25, Victor de la Fuente, number 4, Juan Jose Sanchez with Future Nissan behind them. David Perez still staying second in front of Victor Lobato.
Look at Lobato, eh? He's closing.
Yeah, it's getting there. 2 minutes to get to the end of the session, and it's going to get hot between those two. Victor Lobato at number 14 with Regency Beauty Pageant, and David Perez with the number 19 and Arca Products staying in that second place, trying to move a little bit to spoil the sleep stream a little bit, and I don't know if he's going to be able to spoil it too much, because Victor Lobato is approaching, and he needs to be there for this next lap, and I think it's going to be the last one.
Yep.
And this is going to be the last lap in which Victor Lobato is going to be able to overtake David Perez. Jonathan Alvarez is going to be able to stay in the 4th position to close the jackpot positioning.
I think he will be content with finishing in 3rd, because you might risk that top 4 placing, but, who knows, maybe David will have to leave off before the end of the race. You can never rule out the possibility that the other driver is a bit too short on fuel. That could happen, especially at Spa-Francorchamps is one of those racetracks where it happens the most.
It can happen. But it seems that that's the way it's going right now. Jesus Sicilia, the number 8 with Heart to Heart International, still in front of everyone. 4 seconds and a half of distance between himself and David Perez.
He's been lifting a lot in the last 2 laps. I mean, he's managing completely. He had a bigger advantage, and he's lost like half of his lead in the last 2 laps, so he's just cruising to the checkered flag.
Yeah, he's trying to maintain that position, and the fuel needed to get to the end. Will Jesus Sicilia be able to finish the race? He's in a bit of a tough spot right now. He's managing the distance still. I think he's going to be able to finish first.
Yeah.
The number 8 with Heart to Heart International, our sponsor for this week's event.
The question is, will David Perez make it to the end of the race in 2nd? He should, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
It's close, but I think Jesus is holding the fuel to get to the end surely and safely. Jesus Sicilia approaching that bus stop chicane. The number 8 with Heart to Heart International going through the finish line. Well done, my friend. This time he gets the first position.
Oh, he went close there. I think David Perez had just enough to make this lap a full throttle. I didn't see him lifting at all, but that was close. Lobato was really, and, well, very well done for them. Also for Jonathan Alvarez, who's finally finished 4th after a difficult race where he might have finished 2nd, but that strategic mistake that left him on. And we see some drivers pushing themselves to make to the finish line.
Yeah, that's the way it's going to be. as they get to the end of the session, another gesture of loving care between drivers, letting his fellow companion go through the finish line. I always enjoy watching that, actually.
That's a good sportsmanship between drivers, man. When you're just run out of fuel a couple of corners till the end of a race, that's frustrating, and everyone knows. You might as well give it a push.
Very nice gesture there for all of those drivers out of the top 4. I'm sure that if you are for top 4, you don't do that, but
Oh, of course.
But there we go. Jesus Cecilia, number 8 with Heart to Heart International finishing first. David Perez with the number 19, Alca Products finishing second. Victor Lobato at number 14 with the Regency Beauty Pageant finishing third. Jonathan Alvarez, the number 34, finishing fourth with Maven Motion Pictures. So congratulations to all of our drivers. Very, very well done. And it was more of a peaceful third round today, but it was very entertaining anyway. Although I have to say the first and second round were more action-packed in that sense, and I think they got a bit carried away in some occasions. It happens. What we're going to do. But the thing is that we have seen the end of the third round of racing, and we still have to see the combination for the GHA jackpot, as well as getting some of our drivers in here if it's possible, because sometimes they go out of the sessions exhausted, and it's I don't wonder too much about that, really. It's really a push. They have to do racing. And there we go with all of our cars in the screen, and I remember all of our viewers to visit allgratefulhearts.org to check all the information about the raffles and the GHA jackpot that we will see just in a few minutes. Who will win those $10,000?